Is it my imagination or insanity? A strange hum, a flash of light. I'm overcome, nothing but fright. Otherworldly beings taking me in the night. I'm an extraterrestrial hostage tonight. I wanna run, but I can't move. What do I do? What do I do? Where are they taking me? Where are they taking me? I'm an extraterrestrial hostage tonight. I wanna run, but I can't move. I don't feel real. I wake up in my bed. Was it just in my head? Looking at my hand, there's something there. Inside of me, I'm feeling oh so scared. Confusion and nasty fear. It wasn't just a nightmare. So loud, so bright, hypnotizing me, figures lost in time. I'm tortured, surrounding me tonight. I'm an extraterrestrial hostage tonight. I wanna run, but I can't move. What do I do? What do I do? Where are they taking me? Where are they taking me? I'm an extraterrestrial hostage tonight. I wanna run, but I can't move. I don't feel real. I wake up in my bed. Was it just in my head? Where are they taking me? I'm swelling in me. Where are they taking me? Anxiety rising. Was it just in my head? Paralyzing panic. Was it just in my head? I'm an extraterrestrial hostage tonight. I wanna run, but I can't move. What do I do? What do I do? Where are they taking me? Where are they taking me? I'm an extraterrestrial hostage tonight. I wanna run, but I can't move. I don't feel real. I wake up in my bed. Was it just in my head?
A dreaded flag, a vengeful sea. Be careful what you say. There's always someone listening. The Dutchman tossed on the sea. I swore and the devil heard me. Now we're doomed to sail the seven seas for eternity. So yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. The line forever we must hold. We sail through.
Welcome to Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner. This is PRT. Join us in the real reality. So Thursday night, we did the Patreon. We did Bigfoot and the Nature of Reality. And I think it was a great episode. It was about Kentucky. And it involved doing something. Somebody said no audio. Uh-oh.
It's working now.
Okay. All right, let me start over. So we did the Patreon, just in case you didn't hear me. And it was Bigfoot and the Nature of Reality in Kentucky. And so, you know, it involved something happening with a mirror. And I had advertised that, you know, a couple months back, you know, that we would eventually, once we did the one in Kentucky, I was going to get into that. And so we did. And then we started talking about another guy named Jeff who had an encounter with, come here. Hold on one second. Come on. Sophia and Martis are here joining us in the studio. Let me show her everybody. She's gotten big. She's getting bigger. She's not big. She'll never be big.
Little flying fox.
Say hi. You want to say hi? This is our little baby. This is our little Chewini. We got her from some juggalos.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty much. She was very skittish when we got her. But she is now in a loving home. Very sweet little dog. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You have to grab her. She's just like, I'm just going to jump all over these cords and all this. But that is Sophia, our little Sophia baby. She is a darling. She's a sweetheart. Super smart. I'm going to tell you something. You think I'm joking. Everybody thinks their dogs are the best, and I know. I love dogs, cats. That dog was potty trained in 2 days. Barely, not even 2 months old. We had her. 2 days, that dog was potty trained. I kid you not. And then, after all this time now, she had an accident yesterday on the rug in the bathroom. I say it was an accident because it kind of looks like the pee pad. And I said, well, that's, it looks like the pee pad. That's why she did. No, she's a good dog. We don't spank our dogs, but they're not out of control. They're not out of hand. You can train dogs and cats and other animals without, corporal punishment. Some people think, my dog poops or pees, I'm going to go off on them, whatever. You can teach them not to do that. And if you let them out regularly, you don't have that problem. So anyways, we did the Patreon, right? And so there's not going to be a huge crowd here. I understand that's 10 o'clock at night on a Thursday night. Who's here? That's it, But I wanted to do a show because, the Bigfoot nature of reality, and we had a Bloody Mary story. And what happened was, and you go back and listen to this, and it's the precursor to this one, but if you join the Patreon, you'll know. But these guys and a gal did something with a mirror, and something showed up, but it wasn't what they thought it would be. And so there's still more to that story. We're probably going to talk about it again on the Lost Encounters on Patreon. But tonight I wanted to get into something because we have a bunch of stories. We're so backed up. So I thought, you know what? Why waste a Thursday night? I don't have to get up early tomorrow. I had to get up a little bit early yesterday, not today, but because I had some meetings and stuff I had to go to, but they were canceled. I had 2 of them that were canceled. So those are going to happen tomorrow, but they're not going to be until the afternoon. So I said, you know what? Let's just go ahead and do it. And then tomorrow evening is Random Files on YouTube. And then we have on Saturday, the Real Random Files on Rumble. And the Real Random Files is getting quite the crowd. And we're doing same pretty much numbers, a little over 100 people, going in the chat for Random Files on YouTube. So tomorrow night I'll be there with my co-host Anna Choate, and Anthony's now back. I'm going to say hi, Anthony. Everybody was praying for you because you were in the ER.
Thank you for the prayers, everyone. I'm doing much better now. I was sick for like 5 days. Was it? I lost track.
It was about a week.
Down and out. Felt like crap.
One of our a couple of our former employees messaged us asking about it. And I just told everybody the same thing. He's suffering from weak assness. Now, weak assness can strike at any time. I mean, you could be in your late 50s, you could be in your early 20s.
Oh, really?
It is something that has affected many people over the years. What?
Okay.
What?
Go there.
Go.
Should I turn the fan down because it's burning your eyes? Oh, my eyes are burning.
Yeah, probably should.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with going to the
your
ER
eyes are
for
always
being
burning,
weak?
right?
My eyes are burning right now. I'm dealing with
They're
it.
always burning.
I can't help that.
You have like the most sensitive like baby eyeballs I've ever seen. They're always burning.
Sensitive baby eyeballs. What is that?
You want to talk about me?
What is sensitive? That sounds like
everywhere you go. Oh, my eyes are burning. My eyes burning. Oh, my eyes. Oh, my eyes.
What does this have to do with how weak you are?
Every day your eyes are burning, dude.
Do I stop? Do I go to the ER for it? Do I stop the world and go to the ER? Guys, sorry.
Yeah, you wait till you get on the show and then.
Sorry, guys. I got to leave. I got to go to the ER because weak assness is hit.
You wait till you get on the show to mention it. That way you get sympathy.
I don't know what this is.
Sympathy monger.
I'm just saying you had a case of the weak assness, so you went and you got help and you're good.
Okay.
They gave you they babied you. They fluffed a pillow.
Yeah, they gave me eye drops.
Baby drops.
For my eyes that were burning.
Baby eye drops. Yeah. Baby eyes.
Uh-huh.
Why do you have to attack people's babies? I mean, you're the one over here bringing babies into this. Babies didn't do nothing to you. Why is that?
I'm talking about your baby eyeballs.
Okay. Well, this sounds like a personal problem. I'm sorry about that, folks. I didn't realize this man was going to attack and insult people's infants. I didn't know he was going to be like that.
No.
So you're basically Genghis Khan now. You just overrun people.
Well, make up your mind. Am I attacking? Am I Genghis Khan or am I weak ass?
Well, it is historically proven as an armchair historian. I can tell you, Genghis Khan was known for sitting in his tent and crying about being hurt all the time, and then going out and destroying civilizations because he was mad.
Uh-huh.
He was throwing a temper tantrum because he was weak. That's what you expect from people who have bitch asses.
Okay. Whatever you say.
Exactly. It's what I say. T-Mac says, yeah, he was whiny. Exactly. T-Mac knows. He studied the same history I did. I saw it on the Discovery Channel. History Channel, where the truth is history. We got some people here who are not members. And now, there's been some changes to the members only I got to tell you about. The members only is now $5.99. The changes, they sent me a thing and it was suggested. I guess, I don't know how it works exactly. You just hit the button or whatever. If you are currently a member, I think if you stay a member, it doesn't go up. But if you become a new member, it's $5.99. So whatever. I don't know. I don't know exactly how that works. I just know it came up on my phone and,
Well, I know that if you become a member through your iPhone app, then you pay more. So that's not us.
Ridiculous,
that's Apple. Dude. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what this was. I just know it said to update the deal and it said $5.99. That's whatever. So I don't know if we're paying more for that or I don't know how that works. I don't. I just know that the members only is now $5.99. That's all I know. But anyways, so if you become a member, it's really cool to become a member because if you become a member, you get your name in green and you get access to the library, which keeps growing every week. We get another episode. So what I was thinking about doing, we have a bunch of pre-records too. We're going to start dropping those onto Spotify, and we're probably going to start dropping those onto the members only, the pre-records. But one that I'm not going to do that with is an episode that we pre-recorded, which I'm eager to get out. I want to get this one out. And so I was thinking about dropping this one next week, and it is called A Diary of the Future. Do you remember this one, Anthony?
Yeah, I remember this one.
God,
that's gonna be a good one.
It was crazy. So just
very unique.
Hearing the story, we were blown away. So we need to drop that one and get it out. But so, anyways, get your name in green. Everybody, get your name in green, and it's $5.99. If you stay on, I believe it doesn't change. I think it's $5. I don't know. I have to read over what it said. I was not like reading deep into it. Whatever. It just popped up on my phone. So anyways, that's what's going on. If you would just join the members only, it's $5.99. What else? I think that's it. But tomorrow night, like I said, Random Files, 8:00, YouTube, then on Rumble, the real Random Files. It's not Random Files, it's the real Random Files on Rumble. And then Sunday we have the show we're going to be doing. Now, I'm not real sure. There was a story we got from a guy named Grant or Graham. I got to go back and look. Anyways, he did something to somebody, and something happened to him. He stole a dream catcher from somebody. But do you guys remember that? Because for some reason I have a memory of telling that story, but I can't remember if I did or not. Does anybody remember that story? Tell me if you remember that story, because it might have just been when I was telling you guys, when we were going over it,
Mm-hmm.
But I can't remember if I told his story or not on here. Amy says she doesn't remember it. But then again, Amy doesn't remember me ever doing anything good in her life. She remembers all these other YouTubers, but I got thrown out the game by Amy, so I'm not mad about anything.
She's on probation.
I'm just depressed. It's okay. It's okay, Amy. I see how it is.
On cult probation.
So anybody remember that story? They said, I don't remember. Adam Larry says, I don't remember. Wedge is just saying hi to everybody. Michelle says, nope. Anybody else remember that or don't remember it? I would probably, the mods would be the ones to ask. A dream catcher, though. I did mention a dream catcher. Okay. Amy says, please let me stay in the cult. No, that depends on you, Amy. I mean, show up on my Facebook and like and comment on there. I'll think about it. I don't know. Probably not. But if you guys would go to the Facebook, the Paranormal Roundtable page, not the group. The group is cool too. But the Paranormal Roundtable page, like and comment. And apparently now I'm going to be doing a lot more content on Facebook. So I'm thinking about going live on Facebook periodically and just doing a little something on there. Just to get more traction on the Facebook, and because we used to get a lot. But now I was just thinking, they have this whole subscription thing on Facebook. So why not go and do some work on there? Because this is got to be my job for now. And no, it's not a job to support 6 people. I don't know where that came from, but people were saying that in the comment section. Who the hell is going to support? I don't support anybody. Me and my wife. Everybody else works, have jobs. So I don't know what the hell that was. Somebody was like, oh, you can't support 6 people with a podcast. Who the hell said we were doing that? Trying to support myself. And I know I've been saying this, but it is coming very quickly. The book. I don't think it's going to be much longer, maybe a week. I hope that's it. I'm hoping that's it, because we're pushing. And this last 2 things was not me. It was, hey, we need to flesh out this and make another chapter out of it. And so I did. And I was like, that should be it. I mean, we need to just push the book out. It's going to be bigger than the other 2 books, obviously. But yeah, that's going to be coming out pretty quick. And I hope you guys go out and get the book, Vampires, the Vampire Phenomena. All right, so that's coming out. So Debbie says she don't remember it either. So I'll take her word on it. So I can't remember if I told that story or not, but it was a crazy story. So I reached out to Graham, the guy that told the story, and I asked him if I had said it on the show. He says, I don't know. I'm not keeping up with your show. I'm like, oh, okay. I thought you did. Guess not. But if not, then that'll probably be on Sunday. We're going to talk about that on Sunday. And hopefully we'll get back on track on Monday. We'll be doing Bigfoot, Nature of Reality. But if we don't, we'll always make up for it. And then there'll be the Lost Encounters on Thursday. And we will be talking on Thursday on the Patreon. There'll be 2 Patreon episodes next week. So join the Patreon. It's a good deal. You get your swag bag, which is a merchandise crate. And then, you'll get the shows. And get your name in green, because you will get an extra episode every week. every Tuesday. So, anyways, this is a story that was given to me by a guy named Jeff. He was working as an assistant manager for a pharmacy, a large pharmacy chain up in Wisconsin. And it was funny when he told me this story because his name sounds kind of similar to a famous serial killer. And I was like, wow, that's funny. And so, he says, yeah, I've heard that over the years. And he's like, and it's not exact. It's not, but it's funny just because, and he did live in Wisconsin. I told him, I said, your state has spawned a lot of serial killers. And we've talked about one of them on the True Crime Paranormal, which is on hold. People have asked me that. It's on hold right now. We're going to be doing it on Rumble because we're just not going to be able to do it on YouTube. So we're going to be back and doing that once Maddie is done with her surgery and recovered. And so Randy Alexander says, join the Patreon. You have no idea what you're missing. It's amazing with perks. Yeah, it is the best deal on YouTube. I've even had like some of my colleagues tell me, man, you give them too much. You give them all this merchandise and you give them shows. Nobody can compete with that. And I said, good. That's what I want. But so anyways, Jeff was running this pharmacy. He was working for a pharmacy chain. And so what happened? He had these two girls that worked for him. And, they were into the occult. And he said one of them was like a goth, emo-ish type person. The other one was into witchcraft, straight up. And he said one of them definitely was more of the troublemaker, the one that kind of caused the issues, if you want to put it that way. And he told me, he said they were into the whole Bloody Mary thing. They were trying to get a reaction from, it provoking like a reaction. So they went into the bathroom after work one night, and he said, dude, there was me and one other guy working there, and then these two girls. And so we closed up. He's like, and the guy, he had gone home early. He had gone home at like 9. The place, I guess, at that time closed at 11. And these girls, they went into the restroom, said that they were going to do Bloody Mary. And he was like, okay. He didn't care. He's like, I don't care what you do. He didn't believe in it. He was not a believer in this occult stuff. He did not believe that anything would come of going into a restroom and saying that 3 times. He said, boy, was I wrong. And he said that they did it. And he came out giggling and laughing, and they were closing up. And he was like, are you done? And they're like, yeah. Did anything happen? No. Okay. He leaves. He goes home. He said nothing happened that night. Nothing happened. That was a Friday night. He goes, the next day I go back to work. I was off on Sundays. So, nothing happened on Saturday. I go back to work on Monday. Sunday I was off. It was an uneventful weekend. I talked to the other manager, and she told me, her name was Nicole, and Nicole said, no, it was a pretty peaceful weekend. Nothing happened. Sunday was boring. But when he went back on Monday, he had to open. He said he always hated Mondays because he was the one that had to open the store, and he was in there by himself at the beginning of the shift. And then the first employee came stumbling in about hour later, and then the store would be officially open, and then the other employees would stagger, And he said, so it was just me, and I was in there in the morning, and I was getting the tills ready, getting everything set up. He goes, and I was exhausted, I was tired. He's like, and I hear this crying. It sounded like somebody crying in the restroom, and he goes, holy crap. He goes, it was like a female in the restroom. He's like, but he goes, there was no way, there was nobody in there. And he goes, oh my gosh, what if somebody was left in the bathroom? What if somebody was locked in the bathroom? Oh my God, what if they locked them in the store? This person was running around all night. So he goes, he opens the door, and there's nobody there. He checks the men's bathroom, nobody there. He goes to the storeroom, nobody back there, goes to the back, walks all around the front, everywhere, looks everywhere, and then goes and checks the cameras. He checks the cameras, and the cameras don't show, they don't reveal anybody anywhere. There's nothing there. So After doing a thorough sweep, and he says, dude, I didn't see anything. There was nothing weird on the camera. Because I asked him, I said, Jeff, is it possible that maybe there might have been something weird on the cameras? Anything at all? No. He says, no, absolutely not. And he said that it was so clear. You could hear it. Like it sounded like somebody in the restroom crying, like just sobbing, to the point where he goes, I was expecting to open that door and see a woman there just on the floor or something crying. And it sounded like somebody's voice muffled, like hands over their face crying. And he said that I didn't see anything. He's like, but something was there. He goes, as I'm walking down the aisle, there's like these chips to my right. He goes, and one of these bags of like Fritos goes flying from one side to the other in front of me. And I'm like, what the hell was that? He's like, and then I saw one of our employees standing there, and she was just in shock. And he was like, you saw that? And she was like, yes. And he said, what was that? She goes, I don't know. And then she said, but I was here yesterday, and I heard somebody that sounded like they were crying toward the back of the pharmacy. And I went back there, and there was nobody there. And he was like, really? He's like, okay. Because I heard something in the bathroom earlier, like a woman crying. And she goes, covers her mouth, and she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, I don't know what to think. Angela, that's one of the girls the two girls that did this, right? And the other girl, I'm not gonna say her name. But anyways, and I have a reason. I'm not gonna say her name. She was very into dark things, and she ended up getting in trouble, and later on, and some stuff happened. So we're not gonna say her name. And then this girl's name was Tessa. And Tessa said, yesterday, Angela went into the bathroom and she had to go home. She came out, she had a big scratch on her face and her neck. And they thought that maybe Angela had done something to herself. She said that she had fallen in the back and cut herself on a box, which was a weird excuse. And Nicole, the other manager, was like, okay. So she told him. She told Jeff, and Jeff was like, that's weird. And then there was another person who was the main boss, and I don't know his name, but he told that guy, hey, there's something weird going on here. And so Angela didn't come to work the next day. She says, I'm not doing good. I'm sick. I'm running a fever. So she made some excuses, and she didn't come back. And so they were really kind of concerned, like she went home, she was bleeding, she had a workplace injury, and he was like really kind of aggravated because he said, Nicole, you told me yesterday that everything was fine, it was uneventful, that nothing happened. She goes, I didn't know all of this. When Angela left, she left in a freaking hurry, and she didn't tell me about this. Tessa and the other girl, who we'll call M, told me, along with Tessa. And the reason I'm not going to say her name is because there's actually something going on with her. So I'm not at liberty to talk about her. And so she said that M had said that they had done some kind of game, and she was a little worried about it. And she told me, this is what Nicole said, that the spirit world is very real and that it can hurt you, and that she laughed. And that she told Tessa and her at the end of the night, and another employee who was a male, who I don't know his name, but she told them she's learning the hard way. Now, Angela is supposed to be her friend, but there's no friends in people like this. There's no honor amongst thieves. So when people are like this and they do these kinds of bad things, they always make the mistake of thinking the other person likes them. They don't. They're just using you. You're using them, and they're using you, and it's because you're evil. You're doing evil things, and they're doing evil things. And so there is no love there. Hey, everyone. That's what Excalibur says as she arrives late, being interrupted. So people from California do.
Why don't we just go ahead and ban her right now?
Let's just get out of here. Let's end the stream. We're joking. How you doing? So she says, yeah, she's learning the hard way. So Tess was like, that's not right. You're gonna. That's really horrible. What they told Jeff was that they had a little meeting and they said, we don't really like her. Angela has a bad attitude, but M has a worse attitude. And then Angela didn't come back to work the next day, which was Tuesday, and Jeff was off. He comes back in, and his boss, his manager, I think he says his name was William or something like that, but don't quote me. He plays a very small role in this encounter. But William said, look, if Angela doesn't come in tomorrow, then she's terminated unless she brings in a doctor's excuse. So Jeff didn't really have a problem with Angela so much as he had a problem with M. And M had only been working there a couple of months. Angela had been there for like a year. And she was a pretty good kid. She was a normal, well-adjusted young adult. Until this other one came along, M. Then they became gothic, weird people. Every day is Halloween type stuff, whatever. And so what? If you're that way, you're that way. I don't care. But Jeff was like, dude, these people, I couldn't get them to do a lick of work. And I made the joke because I'm a fan of the show, but I was like Mordecai and Rigby. And he was like, who? Once again, didn't land. I said, okay, so you don't know who that is. Fine, whatever. And I said, it's a show. It's, there's a bird and there's a little, whatever. And he's like, I've never heard of that. I said, okay, well, whatever.
There's a bird, a raccoon, and a gumball machine.
And a gumball machine.
What the hell are you talking about?
I don't listen to hip hop. I'm like, okay, so whatever. And so I told him, I said, dude, why did you keep them around? He goes, they were in really good with Nicole. And she had seniority. She's the one who hired me. She's the assistant manager. I was like third in line, right? He goes, and then there was the other guy that was in charge. He goes, and the main manager, her dad was really good friends with him. That's Angela. But he had said, look, if she don't come back, and I guess her dad kind of ratted her out. Her mom did, said she's just not going to work because she says something happened, but she won't talk about it. And so he said, look, man, I can't, because the other employees are going to be like, so yeah, there was a situation there and she didn't show up. So the next day she comes into work. And when she came into work, they said she looked like she'd been run over by a steamroller and then it had backed up and ran her over 17 to 18 times. Like just, boom, boom, boom. Always wearing the weird goth makeup and the black, whatever. She came in just wearing a frumpy old shirt. Looked like she hadn't bathed and smelled like it too. And very pretty girl, but just looked like her hair was messed up. She hadn't changed her makeup probably since the day that this had happened, She got scratched. She had a pretty nice little scratch on her face and neck. During the course of the day, she was kind of sleepwalking through the job, and Tess, her friend, asked her, what happened? She says, me and M were playing around, and something attacked us. Didn't happen the day of. It didn't happen like that. She said, we said Bloody Mary in the mirror. And we said it over and over again. And then we turned the lights on and off and we shot the finger into the mirror and, we were being silly. And M even licked the mirror, making a joke out of it. And then they walked out giggling and laughing. And we went home. We went back to M's place. She had her own place, a little bit older than Angela, who still lived with her folks. And she said that when we were there at her house, she lit a candle and said some kind of something, which she claimed was an invocation. And she said that it sounded like talking backwards. And the candle, there were 2 black candles, and one of the flames leapt onto the other candle, and both of them were lit. Then the lights, the electricity went out. She goes, and I see, this is the night of what they did. I see this thing coming down the hallway that kind of looked like a big black cat, but it couldn't have been because it was at least 6 feet tall, and it had yellow glowing eyes with snake-like the slits, you know. She's like, but it was very quick. It happened very fast. She's like, and I got up and ran out while M was laughing. She's like, and then I went home, got really sick, and something jumped on me while I was trying to lay and sleep in my bed. I could not sleep. And the next day I had to get up for work. She's like, I just called in sick. She's like, but I came in at noon and I worked and I didn't say anything. And then Sunday, I went into the woman's restroom. This black cat-like thing appeared in the mirror. The lights went out and it grabbed me by my smock and pulled me, and it banged my head into the mirror and scratched me. And I saw this weird creature, and I pulled away from it, tore part of my clothes, and then she stumbled out into the hallway or to the little room that, you know, where you go to the storeroom, whatever. It's like there's a little room, there's like a water fountain. And she goes, and then I hit my stomach on the water fountain. I fell, lost my shoe. I didn't even care. She's like, I just got up and ran out. And then I called the store and said I had to go home because I was sick. And Tessa's like, yeah. And that's when you saw me bleeding. So they're sitting in the break room. And Tessa's like, that is freaking crazy. So according to Jeff, she quit right after that. Went to get another job. She ended up working like at some other store, like Target or something. But he said that M continued to work there for a while. And then one day she threw up into the sink in the woman's bathroom and it was blood. And she came out, and the manager, Nicole, said she walked in there and saw it and was like, oh, God. Got really sick to her stomach and walked out. And then M quit and they never saw her again. He don't know what happened to her. She don't know what. Jeff said that after that, there were at least 3 different incidents that took place at that place. And we will talk about those, but not tonight. But that is his story. He said, I worked there for another 6 months, but I started having weird dreams and something bit me on my foot while I was asleep. And my girlfriend was like, maybe it's that job. Because his girlfriend, I'll tell you the one thing that happened. His girlfriend went in there when they switched to being overnight, whatever. They would be open all night, I guess, on the weekends, like Friday, Saturday. And he said his girlfriend would work the weekend night shift. And she was there. And she said that she went to the back and she was telling somebody because she saw somebody squatted down and they looked all black. But, you know, not like a black person or a person wearing black clothes, but like it was like a black, you know, so you know what it was. And for a minute there, she thought it was a person wearing all black latex. So she goes to the back and she tells them, sir, you know, you need to leave. She can see them in the mirror, you know, because they have the mirrors and they could show the aisles. People still, you know, there's thieves. And so she goes back there and this person is squatted down with their hands down on the ground like Spider-Man. And she said that when she was looking at them in the mirror, she looks down. She doesn't see them. She looks up in the mirror again. She looks back down, and then they're gone. And she was like, thought for a minute, God forbid, that this person was trying to defecate on the floor, which she, you know, according to Jeff, weirder things have happened there. Like there are some disgusting people there, and homeless people will go in there and do horrible things, you know. But it's rare. He says rare, but, you know. So they asked me about it. And I said, it's probably, and somebody just said it right here, a shadow person, Bill Hope. Yes, there you go. I said, it's probably a shadow being. And then there were a couple of other crazy incidents that happened to Jeff. But same thing, along the same lines. So that's what happened to them. And so But we're going to move on to another subject. Now, I was talking on the Patreon. If you want to get to know what's really going on with in the world of Paranormal Roundtable, join the Patreon. The Patreon will give you a lot of information. And so we were talking about the ghosts of Walmart. Now, I had somebody reach out to me and tell me, hey, have you ever heard of the ghosts of Walmart? And I told her, no, I hadn't really heard of that. I didn't really know what that was at the time. That was a couple years ago. And she said, you should do a show on that. You should talk about it. It's really freaky stuff. And so, yes, somebody did. A guy named Tony reached out to me and gave me a story about it. So I started going down the rabbit hole. And I said something in one of the groups that I was in about it. And another person reached out to me and she gave me a story. So the person that told me about, hey, she hadn't had an experience there. And I talked about it on the Patreon or whatever. But she said, I didn't personally have an experience with it. She goes, but there are people who have said that it was haunted. Yes. And so now I do have stories about that. So I was thinking about doing an episode on ghosts in Galveston. And I've got 5 really good stories that I could tell about Galveston. Now, if you remember Galveston, I believe it was Galveston. We talked about it. There was a woman who was being left like trinkets and things like that from this, I guess you could call it like a water being or something. Do you remember that one, Anthony? It was like a mer creature.
Yeah, and then her mom had a deal, like a relation, not a relationship, but like a friendship kind of thing with it. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, when she died, they went to the storage.
Yeah,
and they found all kinds of weird stuff. Well, one of those guys that got in touch with me, and I hadn't talked to him before, right? And I'll just say, I'll call him S, but he reached out to me and he says, I literally, he goes, was there one time when something happened. And I guess they got in touch with him for me, her children, her nieces and nephews, whatever, everybody. This guy used to date her, I guess, when her husband had died. And they went out briefly, but he said that he witnessed it, like something happened. And it was like a ball of light that came to the back door. So that was really weird. That was freaky. Yes. So, yes, Morgan. So here's the thing. There was, the Galveston was destroyed by a huge storm back in the day. Yes. And right there, ground zero, where the Walmart was built, used to be an orphanage. And in 1900, when the big storm hit, killing thousands of people, a bunch of these children, they were just wiped out. And now the Walmart is haunted by these children. And a guy named Tony, who was going through a bad breakup, and not just a breakup, they weren't married, but they had children together, and she took the kids. And so he decided to just drive from West Texas all the way to East Texas. And he said that he ended up in Galveston, and he hung out there for a few days on the beach till the mosquitoes tore his ass up. And he was like, I'm done. But he had to go to Walmart a couple times, and so he would sleep in the Walmart parking lot, because for a long time, Walmart would I don't know if they still do. I know Cabela's is like that too. I used to do security for them, loss prevention. And I know that they would let you sleep in the parking lot. There was no rule against it. And in fact, they were just like, hey, as long as they're there, they're not messing with you. They're not messing with customers. They're not doing anything wrong. We don't care. And so he was there kind of, crashing out, and something crazy happened to him. So then I was doing some research on it, and I said something about it in a group, and about 2 days later, a woman reached out to me and said, I had a weird experience at the Walmart in Galveston. I also met a guy that used to work at the Whataburger down there. And when me and my wife were down there years ago, I say years ago, like it was a few years ago, we were down there, and Anthony was with us, and I don't remember what all we were doing, but we were talking to one of the workers, and we were talking about it being haunted. and they said that Whataburger was on with Cooper's hair on here. And so, yeah, so that was a weird thing. And so we got a story about that. But, you know, there have been so many stories of the hauntings there in Galveston. So what I'd really like to do is just take our cameras, and I'm going to have to start doing this. We're going to start dropping episodes. We're planning on going to a school. We're waiting on them to get back with us when we can go. And we're going to take the cameras, and we're just going to walk around, and we're going to video the different stuff. It'll probably be me and Anthony just with the cameras interviewing people. But yeah, there's a lot of really weird stuff out there that's happening, and we got to get it set up to where we can do this. The problem is this is Texas. And I know you would think, oh, summertime would be the perfect time to go run around and do stuff. No, because you will die. You will literally die of heat stroke. Because you will walk out.
Yeah.
You'll be like, oh, it's only 90 degrees right now. Then it'll be 100 by freaking 3 in the afternoon, and you'll fall over dead. That, and you couple it with the humidity from Austin, and it sucks. So, yeah. Sean Hurt tells us, guy, you need a dash cam? Probably. We don't have one. But, so anyways, I'm going to tell you a ghost story. Now, this one came from somebody his name is Marvin. He's actually a really nice guy. I will say this, though. Like, he kind of believes, like, okay, let's put it this way. And I told him that I was going to say this, right? I said, is it okay if I talk? Because his belief is that everything is super duper haunted. So, like, okay, yeah, you walk into the Exxon and you're like, there's a ghost there. And if you're sensitive, like he claims to be, you're going to see it. So he says he sees ghosts everywhere he goes. Now, while that is possible, there could be ghost specters everywhere. I am of the opinion that I don't think anybody can see all of them all the time. I'm not saying he's a liar. I'm not saying he's lying, but I think Marv believes. I think that he picks up on energies too, and then this isn't me talking bad about the guy, but I think Marv, what he does is in his mind, he creates an image of what he thinks it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think some people do that. Now, he did describe a spirit in a local tavern downtown. I don't know if I should say the place. I don't think it's a problem. I don't know if I should say. It was on a ghost tour. We went there. It's a German tavern on Lamar.
I mean, if it's part of a ghost tour, it should be fun.
I mean, it'd probably be. I don't know. Y'all could look it up if you want to. I don't know if I should be, because I don't want people going in there and then maybe they're. I don't know, because there's people are weird. Like, I've gotten chastised for even being vague. Somebody will find something or they'll find a witness and then they'll be like, well, why'd you do that? You can only, whatever. Anyways, at this particular tavern, it's on Lamar. You can look it up. It's a German style tavern. And if somebody wants to look it up and say the name in the comment section, then that's fine. I'm not gonna stop you. Okay. But there was the spirit. There's a spirit of a little girl there, right? Now, supposedly her mother was a lady of the night, and she was unalived. YouTube, I got to say that. The little girl was unalived because the lady wanted to be with this guy. The guy didn't want her, so there's different versions of it. The one story is that her mother did it. The other story is that she had somebody do it. Either way, she ended up deceased. And it was a sad story, right? Well, according to Marv, he went into this tavern when he first moved to Austin. He moved from the DFW area, from Fort Worth to be exact. And he said he'd been working there, and he was working at a large corporation, got sick of the 9-to-5 grind, and he was working, helping out when he was part of the union and all this stuff. But he says, I just left. He goes, I literally got in my car. This is what he told me. He said, I got in my car to go to work one day, and I just started driving, and I ended up in Waco. And I said, you ended up like an hour and a half away from Fort Worth. He said, yeah, I just started driving. He's like, I was already in the process of moving, and I wasn't happy with my life. I called my brother who lived in Arlington, it's like this: Fort Worth, Arlington, Dallas, and all these little small towns around there, right? Like McKinney and Weatherford. And so he said, I decided to leave, and I ended up in Waco. He's right. You know, this is a few years ago. He goes, and I just go to the Arby's. I called my brother and I said, you know what? Go get my stuff. You can have whatever. I took my clothes with me that day in a suitcase. He said, I knew I wasn't going to work. But when I was driving up to go into the work, to the job, thank you for that membership. He just decided that day, I'm done. I'm not going to go to work. I have heard people talk about this before. And he said that one of the things that was driving him was the place that he was working at. There was a person that had died in that building years ago, and he would see them wandering around depressed, and it made him depressed. And so Marv said, I couldn't take it anymore. He goes, and there was a woman there that was like, she was lost too, another one. He goes, and I couldn't bear it. He said that he has asked God to not allow him to see these spirits. I said, well, how's that working out for you? He says, it's gotten better. I don't see them everywhere I go. And he goes, and I am not schizophrenic, I promise you. He goes, they've checked me out many times. He's like, and I'm getting better at blocking it out. He's like, but if there's a spirit in a building I live in, if it's an apartment, condo, hotel that I'm staying at, or if it's a house, I'll see it. It will contact me. And he says that everybody he knows that's ever died has contacted him. Now, I'll be honest with you. I've had spirits come to me, in the dreams, people that pass over. But I don't see spirits everywhere I go. I don't. But this guy apparently does. So he said that he got to Waco, and then he just decided, you know what, I'm going to move. I'm going to keep going. Not move, but I'm going to keep going. And he goes, and I got to Austin. He goes, I spent 2 weeks in Austin. He's like, and then I decided to go to San Antonio. He goes, and then I ended up down in Corpus, and then I ended up down in South Texas. He goes, and then I just drove all the way back up and ended up in East Texas and then in Louisiana, which is where he lives now. So he lives in Shreveport. But he told me, he says, look, or Bossier, whatever. But he said, before I settled on where I was going to live, I stopped and I stayed in all these places. I saw all these weird things. He goes, but one of them I saw. I went to this tavern, right? And he goes, I saw this little girl crying. She was upstairs. And I looked and I saw her. And so I, not knowing anything about this place, and he asked the bartender, he says, why is there a child up there? And just to make sure that because he thought it was a spirit, because the way she was dressed was like from the 1800s, like the late 1800s. And he said that he asked the question, he's like, why is there a child up there? Is this place haunted? And the bartender's like, what did you see? And he said, a little girl. Well, the truth is, they have found inside of the wall when they were renovating it, a little girl's pair of shoes and a dress. So that somebody had put them in the wall. And if I remember correctly, they may have found a body too, like the skeleton or something like that. But it was a dress and a pair of shoes. But I can't remember. I've heard different stories, like they found, the remains, or they didn't, But she was obviously unalived. She didn't die of natural causes, and her mother was a lady of the night, right? So he told me about that, and he said that he stayed in a hotel, and apparently there was a spirit in that hotel, and I know where he was staying at there too. It was a hotel, and he said that it was right there off of Congress. He didn't realize it at the time. He's like, but where there used to be, they had torn it down. They made another place there, and he said that it was right there, in this bad area, whatever. And he said that he stayed there, did not knowing about it, and there was a woman that came in there. And she couldn't talk. She was grabbing her throat. So the next day, he asked the clerk, and the clerk says, yeah, there was a woman that was strangled to death. That's what he told me. He says, dude, and I saw her, And he said that it was a crazy thing. Like there was the clerk that was there said that. So is that, did this guy run into two of Austin's ghosts? In the same night, being there, and then he said he decided that he was going to stay at this one. It's like an extended stay type place, whatever. He said, I stayed there for a couple of weeks, had a few weird things happen, but nothing like that. And so that was it. He goes, it was just crazy. What is this, Richard saying? What are you talking about here? Be more, like, elaborate more, Richard. I don't know what you're talking about. So if there's anybody, wants to, I have a ton of like weird stories like that. So anyway, that's ghost stories. And Marv has a bunch of other stuff that's happened to him too. He had something really weird happen to him. He went to San Antonio and he stayed in the Menger. In the Menger, he had a weird experience in there too. But he said by that point, he goes, no, I knew it was haunted and I wanted to see if I would see something, and I did. But yeah. If anybody wants to hear about a specific subject, let me know. We can talk about it. Yeah, exactly, Amy. Liberty said my wife had the same experience. What are you guys talking about? What are you talking about? Mm-hmm. They had LASIK and they started seeing ghosts. I'm going to throw the link out there. Richard, if you want to jump on. And then this guy says, I stayed in the Menger, nothing there. Yeah, I've been there too. I hung out with Ken Gerhard and Ann Celine. They're good friends of me and Nellie. And all that happened to me is I bonked my head on a freaking trestle. Yeah, Debbie, to answer your question, we do. The next book is coming out. There's one that me and my brother had written. We're halfway through, and it was about the house we lived in South Austin. And then we have the book about giants, and that's going to come out too. Let's bring Richard on here. Okay, man. So explain to me what you did to your eyes, dude. What did you drop LSD in your eyes or something? Is that what you did?
No. I wish.
You wish. You wish.
No, I was getting all sorts of floaties in my eyes, and so I went to the eye doctor, and it was late 2022, right after a certain medical intervention became widespread. And I just so happened to mention to the doctor, I said, well, are you getting like a lot of people in here seeing things? And I don't know why I felt compelled to ask that question, but the look on her face was like terror. And she's like, yeah, she goes, I'm getting like a lot of people in here seeing, and she's like, things like what sorts of things? She's like, ghosts and stuff they can't explain and all kinds of weird like supernatural stuff. And she's like, yeah. And then she got like really uncomfortable and really freaked out. So I was just like, okay, well, thanks. I appreciate you telling me that. That's kind of weird. And so whatever, she checked my eyes out. And then when I was sitting in the waiting room, like afterwards, I mentioned to one of the secretaries, I'm like, are you guys getting like, the doctor said something about you guys getting a lot of people in here seeing things. And she had this, she's like, oh my God. She goes, you have no idea. She goes, it's like, I've never seen it like this before. There's all sorts of people in here and they're seeing all kinds, like the weirdest things I've ever heard in my entire life. Like they're all thinking they're crazy and blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, oh, wow.
Where was this at?
In Wasaga Beach. It's that away about, can't remember what the name of the eye clinic is, but it's the one that's around the corner from where I used to work. Beach One Eye Clinic or whatever the heck it's called.
And this was from what was the procedure on this? Oh, Okay, all right. And
Yeah, I don't mean
you
to
did
be.
that too?
No, God, no.
Well, okay, then how did you see this stuff?
I was just having eye floaties, like the whatever it is, the proteins in your eyes that have the little sugar stuck to them, and the black
Mm,
floaters or whatever.
wow.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I had a weird suspicion that I don't know why I felt compelled to ask, but when I did, she had seen an awful lot of them, like more than she'd ever had in like whatever period of time. She said since like yeah, like for a year they'd been coming in saying they're seeing all kinds of weird things.
Yeah, because Liberty had said something like that too on here.
Yeah, said that
His
his wife
wife,
had seen
yeah,
something like that.
that's so weird, dude. So that people get that, and then they see these weird things happen. That is totally weird.
Isn't that something, eh?
You know, and like I said, I'm not going to discredit someone like Marv who says that he sees spirits everywhere he goes. But you know, when you go, what was that? When you go to different places and you pinpoint the spirits that are there, and they're not publicized, you know, not. I mean, they are. Some people know that there's spirits there, or whatever, but they're not highly publicized, right? And you're not, you know, whatever. And then you see them.
Yeah.
You know, that's weird. And one of the things that was interesting, he had told me, was that when he stayed at this particular extended stay place, you know, it was one of those where you could stay, you know, it's like a hotel, but you, and he said that there was a person that had OD'd there. And
Mm.
he asked the clerk about it. And the clerk, the night shift lady was like, yeah, there was a person that had, you know, and he saw like a replay of it, like the person stumbling around.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And he heard, like, as he heard banging around in the room next to him. So he walks out there and he knocks on the door and he goes, and I just ordered a pizza and I was watching TV. And he goes, and I know what I was going to do with my life, but I just knew I didn't want to work the grind, the 9 to 5, making good money, doing what he did up there in Fort Worth. And then he said that, thank you for posting that, Maddie. So he said that he, you know, he knocks on the door and the door opens. So he thought maybe there was somebody was in there, you know, and he could hear somebody kind of groan. So he looks in and he sees this guy staggering, stumbling, and then fall on the floor. And he's like, oh crap. So he runs and he calls the front desk. He says, there's somebody, you know, I think they're ODing, because he saw the needle and everything. And he goes back over there and the door's locked. You know, he can't get in. And the clerk comes up with the security. And the security just kind of looking at him as he's opening the door. He's looking at him, you know. And he goes, nobody in here. And he looks at them and he's like, it's like, you guys know something I don't. And the clerk's like, yeah, this has happened a few times. So somebody, and he saw it. Like he was just like dead on about it, you know.
Like a time relapse.
Yeah. And so I know the place that he's talking about because I used to like not live far from there. And so when he told me that, when he first told me this, it's been a while, but I called up there and I asked if they had anybody, and the lady there was like, I don't know anything. So one day when I was with my brother, we went to the store right next door to that, and I just went over there and I went in and I started talking to them, and the girl was like, well, we're not supposed to say, but there is a room that sounds similar, that sounds like something, yes. But she wouldn't come out and just say it. But there was something that was a haunting that was going on. And Anthony, you know what I'm talking about. You know the place I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we witnessed many times ambulances at that place, and we even did security there about 10 years ago, briefly, because I went in there and I was like, you guys are always having issues. You guys need a card. They said, yeah, but then they couldn't afford it. But then there was always something, especially on the weekends. And then that person that was at the front desk, they were being cool about it, and I know they were probably not supposed to say anything, but for whatever reason, that spirit was not at rest. And I remember going by there one time with my wife. We were just driving by, and they were wheeling somebody out like on a gurney. It looked like they were the sheet, like they were. And I said, "Oh, you know," and I just kind of pointed, and she was kind of looking at her phone. And I think Anthony, you were probably with us too. There was like something had just happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, then a couple different people that used to work for me stayed there. and they talked about weird stuff happening there. So this guy was pretty accurate about what he was telling me.
Can you imagine how many people have actually seen that?
Who knows? I mean, I know that blood and emotions saturate the environment with these entities end up, whatever they are. Somebody was commenting on your drawings back there on the fridge. What is that? You drew those?
No, those are my nephew. He drew those.
Oh, Sean said you drew those, Dick. Good job. Oh wow. Sean, why would you say that you think that Richard would draw? Richard would draw better than that. He would probably color it in too. Wouldn't you?
When I was a kid, I used to think that my mom had an antenna.
Ah!
Yeah, because of that one. And I remember checking her head several times to see if the antenna had fallen off. And I'm like, is my mom an alien? I mean...
when I'll tell y'all a story. I probably have told this on the show before. My mother and me and Anthony have talked about this so many times. We've lamented not recording with her.
Yeah.
But since the beginning of the show, she was off and on in good health, and then she wouldn't be in good. She'd be okay, then she'd be ill, And sometimes when she would talk about this stuff, she would get kind of freaked out or get kind of scared, So I didn't want her to be, especially when she was living alone. I didn't want her to have to go to bed after, whatever. And I'd always planned on, interviewing her for the show, but it never happened. And I don't really know why. But Anthony, you know a lot of the stories. We all do. But one of them, I remember as a child seeing these little brown guys, little bitty guys. Probably, maybe they would maybe come up below your waist if you're like maybe a 6'3" like me, 6'3.5", whatever. Yeah, and so they were small, diminutive little dudes, and we lived out in a place outside of a town called Copeland, in the middle of nowhere. And me and my dad drove by there the other day. Monitos, yeah, you would say in Spanish, monitos, or you would call them duendes. So these little duendes, and they were in the house, and they would actually come running up, and they would move real fast, and they would talk to each other, and they would go blah, 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 blah. It was weird the way they would talk. And I was like 3 years old, 3 going on 4 maybe. And I always wondered, my mom would go to sleep, and I would lay in the bed with her because I was a toddler. And I would see them. And they would crawl around on the bed. And one time they were, I remember this vividly. They had a saw, like a little saw, and they started trying to saw the back of my mom's ankle. And this is a weird story. And so I slapped them, knocked them off. And they got mad. And they got up and they would do this kind of vibrate thing. And then they would run into the wall. And so I woke my mom up and I was like, Mama. So I was freaking out, And I saw her kicking her foot, and she woke up and her ankle was hurting. So years later, she told Anthony, me, and my other nephew, Christian, she told us that she would see them and that they would make this weird noise and that they would talk to each other, and she couldn't understand. I never knew that she had seen them.
She said it sounded like gibberish.
Gibberish, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then my dad's first cousin, they lived about 3 miles up the road from there. And they had little people that they were seeing too. So get this. So I know this friend of mine, Aaron, he went out there one time on a ghost hunt because supposedly that area back there, people were seeing a woman in white that would float across this creek. And so he goes out there and he doesn't see this woman in white, but he runs across these little whatever. Now, this is the deal. They dropped hallucinogens, in particular mushrooms. And so he says, we go out there, we're on mushrooms, and the mushrooms start kicking in. He goes, and I see these little brown dudes all around us, dude, all around the creek. And they're all swaying back and forth, and they're singing, and then they just start throwing rocks at us, dude, and beaning us hard. He's like, and then he goes, they wouldn't get into the water. They wouldn't go into the water. One of them almost fell into the water. He goes, remember them grabbing him? and they were screaming and freaking out. Like if they went into the water, he would turn into, you know, brown sugar or something, you know, like they were made of brown sugar. He was making a joke, you know, but he said it was so weird. And he was with another one of my friends, and that dude, he was just like, he was a Hispanic dude named Manuel. He's deceased now. But Manuel told him, he says, dude, those are duendes. We need to get out of here. And when they got into their car, they were in the car, like 2 or 3 of us. They were driving down this county road, and there was this girl, Haley, that was with them, was a friend of ours, and she was just like, they're grabbing my hair, you know, they're free, you know, whatever. And so they wondered out loud, you know, is this because of the mushrooms? You know, like, why are we?
It's a moth.
A little bug, a little bug.
Yeah.
And so there's a bug here. But they were wondering out loud if these little diminutive little dudes, they were able to see them and interact with them. That would be about 5 or 6 miles from that house, where the house is gone now that I stayed at. And that place was just full of scorpions and spiders, and it was terrible. You know, my parents were poor at that time, you know. And so anyway, yeah, these little duendes, but they're not necessarily nice, because they did do mischievous things, and they did try to hurt my mother's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always wondered about that. What was that? You know, and I would only see them, me personally, get this, when my mother was asleep. So it was like when she was asleep, it was like I would see them come out, and they would creep out, and they would run around the house. And I remember throwing like I had like this rubber lizard, like a toy, kind of like a dinosaur looking lizard thing or whatever. And I threw one at it, and it moved, like it dodged it. So like it was physical. When we moved from that house to West Texas, I didn't see that. Any of those little dudes. But I did see a woman out in the garden all the time. I've said this on the show before, and I think she was a ghost. But you know, that's a weird thing. You know,
Do you think they're like tied to the land?
I do think those are, because why would Aaron and Haley and Manuel see them?
Yeah.
You know, and they were, get this, there was another friend, our friend Mick. He was with them. He's deceased too. He was with them too that night, and they left him. Because he had gone up, you know, macheteing. There's a bunch of, you know, that creek. We went over that bridge right there, Anthony,
Yeah.
you know, and he was over there like hacking through some brush, and he was high, but he didn't see this. And he thought they were full of crap, you know, and they left him there. Mickey, a friend of mine. And then he was like, dude, and this was, you know, years ago, back in the early 90s. And so, you know, he was angry about that. He was, you know, pissed off. And he said, dude, I didn't see any kind of little anything, you know, but for whatever reason they did. The difference was this, and I think this could have been the difference. He took 2 caps. That's because he was mad because they had ate up all the mushrooms, and he only had a couple little, so he got a little bit of a buzz, but he got that little bit of whatever, euphoria. But he wasn't in that dream world, that, you know, what I'm talking about, the spirit world. You know
Yeah.
They were lit. And then they drove around, and about 2 hours later, he's walking down the county road, cussing mad, whatever. And then there's a car comes, and then they see him, and they slam on the brakes. He runs, and he jumps in. And he's the one that originally told me that story. He said that they were driving around out there, and they were originally from Round Rock, these guys. And he told me, he says, dude, these idiots said that they were fighting dwarves, trying to kick them out of the car for like an hour. I don't think it was that long. He goes, about 45 minutes. I was pissed off, you know. Got back to the road. He goes, and I could see the car. I saw it go by a couple of times, but they didn't see me. And they were slamming on the brakes. And he goes, they're idiots. They're high. So all the way back to Round Rock, he's mad. And he's telling them, you know, you're pieces of crap for doing this, whatever. And I've known Aaron for years, and he's a goober. You know, he's a goober. But he always stuck by that story. And he used to be roommates with these other 2 guys who big power lifter, weightlifter guys. All they did was lift weights and hang around at clubs like fat cats. And he was telling them that story, and they were just like, like they didn't believe it. But it always stuck with me because I said, "Where were you at?" And then Aaron told me where they were at. And I said, "Dude, that's only a few miles from where I was when I was like a little kid." And I remember these little brown, creatures, whatever. They didn't look like creatures, they look like little people, like little men. Black hair, black eyes, brown skin. They looked like children with beards.
Did they have the little Phrygian caps?
I don't remember caps. I don't remember them having little hats.
Hmm.
And my dad's family don't remember them either having caps. They remember one of them having a white beard, and he would vanish, he would appear and disappear, and go into the cabinets.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Because I mean, generally when people are doing that sort of thing, they don't have shared hallucinations.
When you start having shared hallucinations, that tells me that it's real.
Yeah,
They're
100%.
tapping in. Yeah. And I have interviewed multiple people who've had shared, hallucinations or whatever. And a lot of people think, well, in order to get to see these guys, you got to take DMT. No, you don't. You could take mescaline, you could take psilocybin, or you could take. I don't recommend any of it, but I'm just saying people do. And you could take LSD or any of these kind of, MDMA, whatever, and you'll achieve that state. You have to be on a certain wavelength that I don't want to be on.
Yeah,
because
no
my
kidding.
body will probably fall over. But DMT, yeah, that's when people say, "Oh well, I've taken DMT and I saw the machine elves." I don't know.
Yeah, forget that. You know what they tell people?
How was it?
Yeah, no, they tell people all kinds of crazy stuff, those machine elves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And one of the things people have told me that they've said, most recently I interviewed this guy named Eric. He told me, this is a crazy story. I'll tell this one. I mean, might as well, we're talking about it. He's Argentinian, and he just messaged me, whatever, and said that he was trying to argue about the Argentine Egyptian thing. I was teasing him. I said, "You guys wrote them." Like I give a crap. I don't care. But I just want to give him a hard time. He's like, "That didn't happen. That's not what happened." Okay, you're riled up, and I achieved my goal. Goal. So Eric tells me, he says, he took DMT and he was in Costa Rica, and there's a friend of mine who has a thing down there. He's a retreat. He's been trying to get me together for years. I said, "Hell no, I'm not going to do that." And he said he went there about 4 years ago, 2021. No, this is 26. Wow. So it's 26 already, right? So it's about 5 years ago. Though he told me the story, I guess it was last year. So he would have been for that. But he told me this story, and I haven't had a chance to insert it anywhere, but Eric's story was weird. He went down there with Emma, his girlfriend, and they took DMT, but they also did, what's it called? Mescaline. What's it called? The button.
Peyote.
Peyote. So they had some peyote, and they were doing these hallucinogens, and it was to get. Yeah, see, it's funny. Somebody just said that. I was about to say that microdose is great for treating PTSD.
Yeah, resets your dopamine system.
Yes. So she had the PTSD because she was abused ritualistically. So this is how I first met him online in 2020, because she was ritualistically abused by a vampire cult, or what she claims. Yes, it's crazy. So she goes to this shaman who I've known for years, and he gives them the whatever, and they do these different. Yeah, it sounds like my throat's done, but that started to bother me. I just don't have anything to drink right now. Can I get a cold? Because I can't get over there. We got to clear this out over here. And so what they ended up doing, they took this, DMT, and he said that he ended up, oh no, I need water. It's probably in the big fridge out there. Oh, thank you. You got one. Hold on. Give me a minute here, ladies and gentlemen. So he said that when he came out into this, it was like there was a stairs, right? And when he was describing this, it kind of reminded me of Edgar Casey, like the Sleeping Prophet, when he was talking about. And so he said he comes under the stairs, and there are these two like kind of malformed looking, kind of gimpy looking elves. And one of them was like, asked him, how was it? And he's like, how was what? How was life? And he says, well, I'm not dead. And the other one, they looked at each other, and the other one was like, well, why are you here? And he says, well, I took DMT, and they were just shaking their heads. And then he began to run up the stairs to the light, and then he woke up, and there was a flashlight on him because he had fallen over. They thought he was dying. Yeah, it's a weird story. Kind of a long-winded way to get to the story, but you see my point. So I did some research on that, and I was listening to some other people talk about this online, and there were multiple people talking about having died, and these elves asking them how was the life experience. That's weird. So I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard a bunch of stories of them telling people to unalive themselves and stuff.
To unalive themselves?
Yeah.
Wow. Where did you get those?
Just reading them on this page or that page, or listening to people's stories about taking it and why you should never take it.
I've heard it both ways. Some people say, well, if you take it, it's a good thing. It'll help you. And my friend down there, he was telling me, yeah, you can take it. It does all this benefits. It'll help you and all this crap. And then other people say, don't do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think discretion's the better part of caution.
I would, if it's me personally, I wouldn't take anything like that. Not anymore. I mean, I've already done what I'm going to do, and I'm not into debauchery. I'm not going to do any of that kind of crap. I'm not that guy.
Exactly.
It's illegal for a reason. I mean, I'm not one of those, it's like, oh, you got to follow everything. Don't, whatever. But I do believe that there are certain things that need to be illegal, They've experimented with allowing drugs to be legal, and it turns into a nightmare.
Yep.
They did it in Portugal, I mean,
here they decriminalized everything as well.
Oh, up there too, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You go to Vancouver, man, it's just overrun. You got vending machines where you can get it for free and stuff.
Like what are they selling up there?
You can get your fentanyl and your cocaine and your free. They have literally free drug vending machines in downtown Vancouver.
Wow.
Yeah, government supplied. I know it sounds ridiculous, but who knows what's in it? Place is overrun. It's a nightmare.
That's insane.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, so I had a friend named Dale who, and he's, sadly, he's still alive, but sadly his brother passed away from an overdose. And his brother, this is weird. Like his brother was dying. He gave him CPR, him and his girlfriend and his sister. And then he came back and he sat up for a few minutes and he grabbed Dale. And this is a guy, been friends with me, Scorpion and D and everybody for years. He had his own bouts with alcoholism.
Mm.
And, but he said that this guy grabbed him, his brother. And he told him, he says, Dale, let me go. It's beautiful. I just want to go. He's like, they're waiting for me. It's a very beautiful place. And he laid back down and he's like, stay with me. And then the paramedics came. And then when they got him in the ambulance, you think that's when he gave up and he stopped breathing again and he just went unconscious.
Yikes.
He had taken what they call a speedball. And it was just, the heart was going up and down, and it was the AFib, and then he stroked out, and it was just, that was it, But he said, dude, it was weird, that moment of clarity he had. And the doctors can't explain. The doctors were like, doesn't make sense. He should have just been done, because they didn't even have a pulse. So how was he sitting up talking?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, they had like a pulsometer on him, and it was just... and he says, it's beautiful. Just let me go. And he lays down. And then He's not breathing, but his eyes are open and he's talking, but they put him, they're like, he didn't have a pulse. Then the pulse came back, and then, what did he see?
Do you think he saw heaven?
Nobody knows.
Hmm.
Now, I know this. Dale told me and a couple of our friends, that after that happened, he talked to his brother, and it was, he said that it was after he had passed away. It was about 2 weeks later. And he told him, he says, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm with mom. Their mother had passed away. And they said, we'll be waiting for you. And that was it. So, you get these people, and of course, every time I interview somebody, I'll ask them the same question. I mean, have you ever had a near-death experience? Some people say they have. Some people say they have. Some people say, I don't know what that is. I said, well, it's if you died. And most people say they haven't, but some do. Probably an inordinately large number. Yeah, an inordinately larger number of people who've had paranormal experiences would be more likely to have died than people who haven't, done, the paranormal. They don't, something hasn't happened to them. But then you get these other people who have not just the near-death experience, but out-of-body experiences. And they will see the elves too. You know what I mean?
I don't remember anything. It was just blackness.
That is something that a lot of people claim, but they don't see anything. They just see darkness, because you can be unconscious as in the spirit too. And then you wake up. That happened to one of my friends. In fact, the guy we were talking about earlier, Mick, when he died, he woke back up and it was just darkness. When he woke up and he got up and started moving around and doing stuff. When he looked down, his body was laying there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so he was, same thing. He had his heart, it was a cardiac arrest, should have been dead. His sister came out and found him, her and her boyfriend, and they called EMS. And he was, luckily for him, her boyfriend was a paramedic.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So he saved him. And it was, he said he couldn't have been landing more than a few minutes because they were talking, watching a movie, Lord of the Rings or whatever, and then she goes in the other room. He's telling me, my brother, this. And he says, he's like, oh, I was laying there, and then the next thing you know, I was just unconscious. And I looked down, and I'm first it was just darkness. I just remember darkness. Then I wake up, and he's, that's weird. So you're unconscious, you're in it's nothing but darkness, but then you wake up. Now I talked to this one woman who's an author. And she told me that she woke up and she was awake, fully conscious. But it was nothing but blackness. She was like swimming in blackness and she felt stuff bumping into her.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that's freaky. And then she woke up and she was back in her body. And that's a freaky thing. And she had sleep apnea, wasn't using a machine, and she was having these things happening at night, and then she finally got it, fixed. And got a machine, and I talked her into it. I told her, you need to get one.
Yeah, sleep apnea is no joke.
It'll kill you.
Yeah.
It will absolutely kill you.
Yeah.
Somebody said, Will Missy says, when is Josh's birthday? Josh's birthday is in 5 days.
Oh, happy birthday, buddy.
I'll be 34.
Nice.
I'm going to celebrate my 34th birthday. That doesn't mean I'm 34. It just means I'm celebrating my 34th birthday. That year I was very busy. I don't remember exactly a whole lot about that because every year I'm busy and I always work on my birthday. But I'm going to celebrate my 34th birthday. Because I'm pretty sure I missed it.
Not too many people still have all the color in their hair at 84.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, this is not dye. I'm
No,
not dyeing my hair, brother. I got
Yeah.
there's a little bit of silver in there. I was looking the other day and I said, what is that? I thought I was out in the garage. We got Christmas decorations. I was helping Tony. We were moving some stuff. And there was some Christmas decorations. So I go back in, I was combing my hair and I saw tinsel. And I said, oh shit, what is that? I was like, freaking great hair. I don't know what happened to it, but it was there. It was a couple of them.
Yeah, it's just a mineral deficiency, eh?
Is that what it is? I don't think so.
That's what Dr. Berg on YouTube says it is anyway.
Berg said that?
Yeah.
Eric? You talking about Eric?
Yeah,
Eric's
exactly.
a good dude.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's cool. What's crazy though is like, and I asked him a question one time, and I love the way he talks. People get, he's too monotone. He's just right.
Oh no, he's great.
He's full of information.
Yeah.
And me and Nelly were talking about this earlier today, about how you could talk for 3 hours. Like a lot of people are criticizing AJ, and AJ's a good dude. The guy from Wi-Fi. Some people are like, well, he's controlled this and that. I don't know what he is. I know that at one time he had a show where he talked about not Linda, what's her name? One that wrote the book about the Vengeful Jinn. Rosemary Ellen Guiley. Yeah, never met her. She died before I could ever get to meet her, but a lot of my colleagues did. Most recently, it was Lyle Blackburn. I was talking to him a few days ago. He's good friends with her.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, oh, yeah, she was controlled opposition, and AJ talked about it on his show on Wi-Fi's.
Mm.
But he's doing this long form 3-hour interviews now. So people are like, oh, I don't like this. It's too long, and then it gets monotonous. He had Dave Gully on there the other day. He's the guy that used the light, and he saw the code on the wall. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there again, he was doing copious amounts of DMT.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking about taking a bunch of microdoses and driving around, of LSD. Wouldn't recommend that. I would say never drive around, do anything, function vehicle, on anything.
No kidding.
On anything at all. Even
No
if you have
kidding.
a prescription for anxiety, you probably take too much. You could be sleepy.
Yeah.
So anyways, this guy, he's doing the long form 3-hour stuff, and people, they're just like, oh, because nobody has any attention span anymore.
Nope.
When you listen to somebody talking and it's 3 hours, they just can't do it. So that's why YouTube had kind of stopped favoring that. So we got away from the 3-hour shows because nobody's wanting to stick around for 3 hours to hear people, talk about this stuff.
Yeah, but you sure get a lot of attention on those 20-second shorts, eh?
Those shorts, dude, like rats, like rabbits with the feeder, pellets, people love those. And Amy just said, I love the long form. I prefer the long form. Yeah, there it is.
Me too.
I would love to do that, but you don't get the traction.
Yeah.
You get better numbers, And then I thought at one time I was just killing my numbers. Everybody's numbers were being from Mr. Beast all the way down. It's just, you're getting hit, But I like guys like Eric Berg. Eric's good. He always has a little marker on the
on the whiteboard. Yeah.
He gets on there and he tells you, this is why you're having trouble. You can't use the restroom because of this.
Oh, he was right about potassium. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's so much. And then now, you know what? I'm not big into fiction, but have you seen the trailer for the new Dune?
The new what?
The new Dune, part 3.
No.
The first 2 are really good. The third one looks really good.
Hmm.
And what people don't realize about Dune is like that's us way, way in the future. Like we've colonized all of that, and we've gone off into different, worlds and colonized it, and we're still fighting. That's what people don't realize.
I still prefer the original.
The original, you cannot do Dune justice with just one, and Sting. What's he doing?
It's the best worst movie ever.
The best, yeah. There you go. It's one of the best worst movies ever. But you can't do Dune with just one. It's one of those like long, like they were discussing. I don't know if this was the truth, but they were talking about doing not Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, a movie. I'm like, for what? You don't need a movie.
Yeah, it's already done.
Movies aren't good. Movies can't tell the real story. That's why these epic series are out, because every episode of Game of Thrones is like a little movie in itself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't need like, I mean, you're not going to be able to do it justice unless you're going to do what they did with Dune and do like these, like Lord of the Rings, where you do these long movies. You know, you can't do that.
Even Lord of the Rings left out like half of the good characters and stuff too.
They did, and if you've read
Yeah.
it, then you're going like, you know, kind of
Yeah.
disappointed. You know, but I've read Game of Thrones, all those books, and Storm of Swords, all that, Dance of Dragons. I read those when I was working, and you have all these different like little side things going on. What I would have loved to have seen is Star Wars go into the years from the time Luke and Leia are babies
Mm-hmm.
and go follow Vader. What Vader did up until the point where Luke finally cuts his hand off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they will never do that because, you know, Kathleen Kennedy, she's like, oh, the Force is feminine. We got to, you know, and so they shelved Vader. This is how stupid these people are that do this. And you're
He's
going
a
to
toxic
take
male.
Yeah, he's a toxic male. You're going to take your numero uno guy, and then you're going to twist it and turn it into some BS. They would kill it if they would do a series, and it just shows Vader going from war to war, going, you know, step by step, and, you know, eliminating the other Jedi. Because that's what Dark Horse did when you read the books. You can, you know, you're like, that's. I read a lot of the, which is no longer part of the official canon. You know, they took it out of the canon, but I read all the books, the Yuzhan Vong and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my fiction. I don't read a lot of fiction. I don't have a lot of time, but when I did, I would just devour. I'd be on post and I'd read like 2 of those. You know,
That would be a good one with the Yuzhong Vong.
mm-hmm. Because of the if people don't know what we're talking about, they invaded from an alternate galaxy, another galaxy that they had already conquered, and they didn't believe in anything that was non-biological.
Yeah. And they took over like everything for a long time.
Mm-hmm. And droids were considered apostate. You know, you couldn't have anything like that. They were just, this is horrible. Why do you have this artificial intelligence?
Mm-hmm.
When you start seeing things from their perspective, you kind of go like, oh, they have some points. Kind of like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. I mean, maybe we should, you know, because, you know, if you notice like how our world is so inverted that a lot of times the good is really the bad and the bad is the good. Except for Lord of the Rings. You can sit there and go, yeah, those are the bad guys. I mean, there's no argument. Like on Star Wars, you're kind of going like, oh, kind of see kind of some of their points, you know what I mean? Like, you know, but then you take Lord of the Rings and you're like, no, there's really not a gray area there. The orcs are disgusting, evil, vile. They're good bad guys. They're good at being bad guys.
I think they're the Nephilim pigmen.
There's something, you know.
That's what Tolkien was the keeper. Tolkien was the keeper of the bloodlines for all those elites.
Mm-hmm.
And he literally just took it and made it into story form.
And if you look at Sauron and Saruman, you kind of see who they are. Like, you know what I mean? And you get like Saruman is the humanized version of these Nephilim, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But Nephilim is a catch-all. We know this.
Yeah.
Nephilim is just a catch-all. You got so many, like the Raphaim, you know, the Oliud, you got all these there's all these different types of stuff. And there's there's so many different versions of giants. So like when we're doing the giant book right now, and
that's what I was just going to say, trying to sort all these different types and varieties out, it's been a task and a chore, dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's good,
so
though.
You got to do North America and then just do the different regions and do region by region.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever read the Book of King Og?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That's
13 feet, you know, a bed that was 13 feet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even the biggest giant. He was just
that's like tiny compared to the ones that were pre-flood.
Yeah.
Their heads reached the clouds. They became the mountains.
Oh, yeah. That's not even that's harkens back to a whole nother series of time. You know, like
Mhm.
there's because if you think about it, we've talked about this on the show too. Like you get the world is 4.6 billion years old, right? But then the universe is 12.4 billion years. Good grief, dude! You can't even fathom. Like, there's no way to even calculate that.
How do they come up with that number in the first place? That's what I want to know.
Math, dude. It's math. Because if you do the equations, like, I mean, you will come up to. Do you know about phi?
Do I know about what?
Phi.
Phi?
Yeah, give the definition of phi, Anthony. Look up phi. I want to make sure that I get it completely correct. I'm not talking about pi because this is what they do. They do this little switcheroo, and they make you think that pi is important, you know, because Einstein's
It's a Greek number. I think it's like 1.618.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Phi is found in everything. Yeah.
Like sacred geometry?
Mhm.
Sacred geometry, yes.
Like the golden ratio is made with it.
The
Okay.
golden ratio. You know what that is,
It's a
right?
Greek number.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio, the golden rectangle. It's all
Phi shows up just everywhere in nature.
Hmm.
So everybody's always like, oh, pi r square, this and that. Okay, yeah. But that's all part of the matrix. Einstein was just another matrix baby. You know, I can't stand him. He's like my least favorite scientist ever.
You know who made him famous, right?
I don't even go into that. This is
I'm
not a
just
random
saying.
this is not random files. We're going to abstain from anything controversial. You know, I'm going to get into it. We're going to be good people tonight. What does it say about phi?
it's a kind of a long-winded definition that doesn't really get into what we're talking about.
Yeah,
it's kind of a nerd definition.
So I'll explain it about phi. So here's what I know about phi. Okay, it's the golden ratio, right? And it's the number. It's 1.618. Some shit. I don't know what is the rest.
A bunch 1.618033988.
I thought it was 0133.
No.
Oh, so it's 1.618, right?
033.
033. Okay, I thought it, for some reason I thought it was 133. Here's another thing, Chubb, I've been struggling with lately. Just real quick here. The whole, you know, Mandela effect about the Bible. I remember this guy that was a preacher at our church, Brother Springer, and I remember him telling us in church about Isaiah, in the book of Isaiah, and the mystery of iniquity.
Yes.
But now it's not. It talks about lawlessness, but it doesn't really go into the iniquity, which is the darkness, and how we know not from which it comes, and how it's split from the good, you know, which is, if you looked at the Zoroastrian, it's like Engamanyu and the Hori Mazda, right? Engamanyu being the shadow, the darkness, which would be the antithesis to God, right? So anyway, that's just something I struggle with because now it's not there like it was. And every time I turn around, they're moving stuff around.
I remember when it said the lion and the lamb. I don't care what anybody says. I literally, when I first started reading the Bible and studying the Bible, that was one of my favorite passages. And I remember seeing pictures of the lion and the lamb together, and now it's the wolf will lie down with the lamb. So
yeah, absolutely, that's what they're saying. And they can change it and do whatever, but like it says in the Bible, to the elect, right? Bless you.
I also know of a lady who goes through it and literally says that everything in the Bible has been changed, and I don't believe that for a second either.
I don't believe it's all been changed, but they have changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so when you get to this phi, and you start going over what it is and how it works, just look it up. It comes up in nature over and over again. And there's that's weird. Like, why would it? Right?
It's God's coding.
It is. It's a code. Yes.
Yeah.
And some of these people, they think that they're so clever because they've figured out the cheat codes to the world. And Yeah, Sean says, CERN changed my underwear cornucopia. So by the fruit of the loom. I could put my hand on a Bible onto that. I mean, I don't doubt for a second, dude.
I remember it.
The cornucopia was there. The Monopoly guy had a monocle, dude.
Damn right he did.
He did.
Yeah, people have found like old Fruit of the Loom clothing with the cornucopia on it now.
So what is that? Is it like what Richard says? Like my brother and Richard both say the same thing? It's all fake and it's all, a psyop.
I don't know what it is.
It sure is weird.
Big game.
I like Jordy Rose's explanation, man, where he said that every time we run that computer, we put out 86% energy and get 125% back, and it changes stuff on our myoscopic plane of existence.
And it's so weird.
It is weird. And at random, too. I'm sure they have a way of coding it now that they can change what they want, but have you noticed things of yours disappearing?
Yes.
Vanishing into thin air? Because I've noticed that on mine, too.
Another thing that's been missing is the key. We haven't seen it in probably a year and a half.
My SOG Kiku knife literally just disappeared into thin air. And I also had a TDI knife from what is it? Anyway, whoever makes a TDI knife. I was cutting an avocado. I put it down, put the sheath down beside it, turned around, threw the avocado peel in the garbage, turned around, and the knife was gone.
See, now here's a crazy story. There was a woman named Karen reached out to me. What is this? God, time is just flying, dude. This was in May. She reached out to me about playing with her cat.
Okay.
And we had a cat toy, and she kicked it, and it went straight up underneath a dresser.
And was gone.
Yeah, she goes to look, and it's gone.
Yeah.
A week later, the cat is running around with it. And she asked me about that, and I said, this is something that it's not something you can make a whole show out of it, but it is crazy. Like you get so many people telling you that this is what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I had another guy who was, I can't remember his name. He was an old cowboy. And it was out there when we were talking to the guy from Brenham out there in Giddings, Texas. And we had several people who reached out to us about dogmen in that corridor, Giddings to Brenham. In fact, Anthony, you remember we went to when you guys went to the Texans game in December, and that girl was like, I've seen this. It was a werewolf, whatever. And so he was talking about having a salt lick. He had laid 2 of them out there years ago for his cows. And he drove back over, and the cows, there were a couple of them that were already like over there, they were, and the next day the salt licks were gone.
I remember you telling us.
Yeah. It's just crazy. And get this, he found them in his barn like he had never done it.
Yeah.
There were 4 of them. And this old guy looked right at me. He's like, let me tell you something, you can't tell me. I said, I said, well, because he believed that these creatures were playing tricks on him. And there was this, they called it a Bigfoot. We did the investigation. It was like, no, it was like 2012 or something like that. And I said, look, this creature that they were talking about, I did not know what this was because I had not heard the term gugwi. I did not know that there was some sort of in-between monster. Something in between a dogman and a Bigfoot. What is this? And that dude, he was just like, these things are tricksters. They're messing with me. Right. If you go back and you listen to the Patreon earlier tonight, did you watch the Patreon, Richard?
No, I was at the gym, so I'm going to have to go back and watch it afterwards.
Well, you need to learn to listen to the Patreon instead of going and working on your body. Okay. What's more important? Your health or the show? Because obviously you don't care about your health because you're smoking a cigarette.
I do it so I can smoke cigarettes.
I was watching a thing today real quick here. It was Rod Woodson from the Steelers. And he's talking about when he first started in the league and stalwart, he's already an aging receiver or whatever. He goes, I go into the halftime, my first game. He's like, and I smell cigarette smoke. And I'm like, we're in the locker room. He gives a look over and Stalwart's just sitting there and he's like, smoking a cigarette at halftime. And it was like, Dude, I've heard that story. Like Golden Richards did that. I think it was somebody had said. I think it was like Drew Pearson or somebody at the Cowboys said the same thing. Golden Richards is like, oh, they're smoking his cigarettes because the game was different back in the 70s. It was a wholly different game. Anyway, that's funny. But
A
so
real man game.
if you go back and if you go back, you listen to the Patreon, we're talking, and this guy, Norman, he goes and he grabs the Bible and he starts yelling at this Bigfoot at the edge of the woods.
Okay.
But he said that the Bible that he stuck out there in that trailer, if you go back and listen to the Patreon, you know what I'm talking about. It disappeared. He thinks this Bigfoot made the Bible disappear, or it took the Bible.
Like into thin air? Out of his hand?
Yeah, it was just gone. No. It was gone from the trailer. Like nobody would go into that trailer. And so he thinks that this Bigfoot might have reached in and taken it off the counter.
Wow.
But what would a Bigfoot want with a Bible?
To get rid of it.
Get rid of it, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's a weird thing. But anyways, I just thought I'd come on tonight. We were backed up with stories. We have a lot. We have a lot of stuff we've done, and I just keep getting more and more. And Nellie's fielding them now, and everybody's fielding them. And
that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. There's certain people that I need to get on the show. I'll say their names. Bryce Edwards wants to come on.
Come on,
Matt
Bryce.
Stoyanov. All these people that are trying to get on the show. There's some other people. They're natives, Native American. They have a channel. They want to come on. My wife sent me their information. Wish I could remember off the top of my head. I got their number. I need to get in touch with them. And then there's another guy from not South Dakota, South Carolina. Who's got a story, but he wants to tell it himself. I said, that's fine. You can tell it, And so there's a bunch of different people wanting to, come on and talk. We're going to be doing a few things on Dead Zone Transmission, folks. At night, we're going to tell some shorter, smaller stories. I mentioned one earlier on the Patreon. What was it? We're going to tell the thing that Nellie saw, and then something else.
Was it like a vampire story?
No, it was a little short story. It was a short one.
Okay.
I can't remember whose it was. I gotta go back and listen. But there's so many different things going on in the world. And tomorrow night is Random Files, and that is going to be at 8:00. There's Anna Choate and Anna.
Yeah, she's cool.
And Anthony. And then we're going to do it again, the Real Random Files. Real Random Files is going to be on Rumble. And that's going to be on Saturday. But we might sneak another show in there in between. I don't know. We might do DZT, Dead Zone, and then we might do this too. Because we just got a lot of work to do. I mean, and now that I'm not doing the job, whatever, I'm, just going to be, I got more time I can dedicate to this.
This is your calling, brother.
Yeah, because things don't fall the way they do unless there's a reason.
Hi, Cynthia.
Yeah.
I think God wants all this stuff exposed.
So she says Wolf was talking about Darren and Don from. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Don't Whistle at Night or something. Awesome gal. And there's a few other people too, like Paul Sinclair, Paul Wallace. Bunch of people I need to interview, and I need to go on to Sinclair's show. I need to. And talk to Josh Finocchio. He's got the new studio. They had a fire and they had a flood. It's crazy, right? I mean, like,
seems a little weird.
Wild, yeah. One thing after the other. And so I'm going to be on his show soon too. I got to do that. And
I think a lot of these things are just attacks.
Yeah, I think that when people are doing work.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at what he was doing with the Yosemite, with those bear man, those creatures, that's something that has come up time and again. And you wonder, like, how much of that could be black shadow, whatever, government.
Yep.
And then maybe people don't want you knowing, they want you saying things about it, But
especially
anyway,
if they are one.
Yeah, especially if they are one. But here's the thing. Guys, go and join the Patreon. You won't be disappointed. And then hit us up join the members. The members $5.99 now. So it's gone up $1. You know, they asked me to move it up, or I don't know, they didn't ask me, but they said, you know, do you want to whatever? And I guess so many people are making it, they're adding, you know, they're making it more expensive or whatever. Ours is $1 more. But if you're already a member, it's worth it. Yeah, it's worth it because you know, we do a lot of work, but if you're already a member, it's not going to go up. But if you're renewing, it might go up, I think $1 or whatever. So anyways, we don't want people to not be members, you know, and hopefully $1 isn't a deal breaker, you know.
No, shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You go out and spend $8 on a freaking Starbucks coffee in the morning. You can spend $6 on your monthly subscription.
You, dude, it is so ridiculous, dude. How much everything is. I actually walked into a Starbucks earlier. I didn't, not to get anything, use the bathroom. I just walked in and walked out, and I just glanced over, and this guy was spending $10 on a drink. I saw it. And they're like, it's 9 something. I was like, what? For what? What drink is worth $10? I just don't understand that, dude. Thank you for that donation.
I can buy like a freaking 4-pound bag of organic coffee for like $30 and have like 100 cups of coffee at least.
Yeah. Well, because you're not one of those convenience people. I try to stay out of convenience stores because there's a waste of money.
I also don't like drinking microplastics in those cups.
Oh my God, it's so bad. We could talk about that on Random Files.
Yeah.
Just talk about how bad all that is, you know. But anyways, folks, thank you for tuning in. And remember, I guess now that it's been the cat's out of the bag, let's see. My birthday is on Tuesday. Tuesday's the members only. So I'm still going to do a show.
Birthday show.
I don't care about birthday. Birthday is just another day. But the only birthday I care about is when we celebrate Christ's birthday. Like, you know, he wasn't born in December. I'm like, you don't know that. People get so mad when I say it's based on a pagan holiday. Yeah, we destroyed that. We built over it. No, you got to be listening to what I'm saying. No, I'm not going to. Happy birthday, Jesus.
Just want an excuse to not celebrate Christmas because you're cheap. All it is.
That's that one time a year where they have to go to the dollar store and buy something for somebody.
Or do something for someone.
Or do something. Yeah, God forbid you should be nice to somebody. This one guy, he messages me, right? And I eventually had to block him. He was very annoying. Well, tempted. I'm not gonna say his name. It was mean if I said his name. He's weird, right? So he messages me. He says, you know, you're always about Christmas, and he gives me all these reasons why you shouldn't celebrate Christmas or whatever. And I said, I'll give you one. Goodwill toward man. Because Jesus said that. What is wrong with being nice for a little while? I'm nice all the time. I said, you're not being nice to me right now. You're haranguing me about Christmas. He says, it's just a way that people will go broke. I said, well, if you spent all your money and you gave all that money to doing good and making people's lives easier, happier, and whatever. I'll be honest, this last December, I gave like really nice things to people, and they just recently stabbed me in the back. Is that on me? It's not on me. No. I gave them something good, and they were ugly to me. So be it. That's not on me. That's not my job. Is not to go, well, I better not help that person because they may turn on me in 6 months. You can't do that.
Know.
Can't live your life that way, man.
No.
If you live your life that way, then that tells you right there, like that, you're not doing it. There's no altruism. You're doing it just because you might get a return on your investment because you help somebody. I've never offered anything to somebody and expected something back, because if you do that, you don't deserve anything.
It's like negative karma.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, you know, there's people doing really horrible, mean things to us right now, but God says to forgive.
Yeah, God bless them. May they repent of their evil.
God bless. And so, to me, Christmas is an important time. We all should share in God's, bounty, what He gives you. And people say, "Well, I want to be nice to people because I want God to bless me." It shouldn't even come into your mind whether he blesses you or not. You should just do it for the sake of doing it because it's the right thing to do.
Exactly. That's where the blessing comes.
Yeah. You're not supposed to do it so God will bless you.
No.
People say that. And you're just like, it's a very immature way to be.
And it's selfish.
Mm-hmm. But people to people, they'll learn. Everybody's got to learn. But anyways, guys, thank you for tuning in and listening to me. Thank you for popping on, Richard.
My pleasure.
Your presence is always appreciated. I joke and tease with him, but he's a good guy.
Yeah, I try
look
my
at the
best.
drawings he did in the back there. Those drawings are epic.
Yeah. I didn't even spell my own name right.
Yeah, you finally got the R correct. Like you kept doing it the Pravda way. I was like, what are you doing?
I left the A out of both.
I just thought you were a Russian spy because you were turning it backwards. I was like, come on, dude.
I am a Russian spy. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's why you write the R backwards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to let you run, Richard.
God bless you guys.
God bless you. I'll see you.
Love y'all.
So, Dick Richards, always a fun guy. Thank you for everybody for hanging out and tuning in and whatever. We've got 227 people here, and it's like midnight over here. It's literally midnight right now. But we had fun. We had a good time. And I got to tell some stories and talk about a lot of these little small quips and stories. So, you're not going to get that because it's, But, yeah, please continue to send things to us. Please continue to support us, and we'll be here. All right, guys. We love you. Good night.
Friend's letter. In darkness I travel, my eyes upon a house disheveled. Walking the halls, all the pain I see, paranoia and anxiety. Usher was telling me. Plans not fair.